What up, Pittsburgh Steel fans? Matty P, Shannon White with another episode of the Steelers Global Perspective. We're talking the quarterback. Now, quarterback Russ Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen, Plumlee, massive shakeup in the quarterback room this offseason. Realistically, it's a Fields versus Russell Wilson competition. It looks like Russell's got the inside running to start that. It looks like that was the way they negotiated with Russ based on everything we've heard. Shannon, you came to me before the show and talked about some interesting formations, not just on the offensive line, but at the quarterback position as well. What are you seeing about at OTAs with the quarterbacks that's telling you that we could be in for an interesting year when it comes to the quarterback position?
Well, Russ has went into everything as, I'm the entrenched starter.
Yeah.
And Justin Fields has come in and he's like, it's a competition. Maybe nobody really stressed that to Justin Fields, but he's not just going to take it like I'm going to be on the bench all year.
Yeah.
Now, I've said all along, I think Justin Fields needs this. He needs Russell Wilson to set an example, be a mentor, see what it looks like to lead with confidence and calmness. And I think that Justin Fields needs to take a step back, not be counted on to be the savior, be the man, but be just an additional weapon and a teammate. And it appears that we've talked all along that Justin Fields does not need to be on the sidelines. He needs every game to be involved in the game plan and to have a series or two minimum each game, maybe a red zone package or two, but have where they could get him in there and utilize his athleticism and his mobility and his talent and his throwing arm. And they're talking about a Death Star formation, which kind of looks like, I called it a diamond formation or an inverted wishbone, to whereas he would actually take a shotgun snap with Harris on one side and Warren on the other, and then have Cordell Patterson behind Fields. And there's so many different options that you could run out of this package.
Mm.
And me and you was talking before the show. If you think about it, you could use Calvin Austin the third, put him. You can substitute a lot of guys behind Fields. Roman Wilson. There's a lot of guys they have that are shifty, that are fast, that can give them an additional element. And that will force a lot of one-on-ones on the outside.
Do you know what else you could do, Shannon? You know what else you could do? You could put Nate Herbig at center, and you could put Frazier next to him, and Frazier can run around and block for him.
There's so many
things
you can do.
And you can put Darnell on the other side, and then you don't know which way they're running with him.
Exactly. But honestly, if you did have Darnell Washington on one side,
you probably should.
And you could snap the ball to Fields and have Washington and Warren and Harris as lead blockers for Fields. I mean, there's just so much you can do there.
Yeah.
But they have to get Fields involved and keep him involved.
Yeah.
Because this year they need to decide what can Fields be the answer, the long-term answer at franchise quarterback. This year, Russell Wilson, they need his experience to kind of solidify this offense, because we know how rough it was last year. And it's a young offense, and Wilson could give them that confidence and the calmness and the stability. But that doesn't mean that Fields shouldn't be involved in the game plan with different packages like that. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Do you think there are, I mean, to me, it sounds exciting, right? I mean, I'm, part of the Madden generation, and, I love the creativity. I've always been someone's been creativity across every single sport. I used to drive my late grandfather nuts, but he loved some of it on the different things I used to say to him about, they should do this, and they should put this bloke in, and they should swap that bloke to that position, and all that sort of stuff. But we saw a little bit of this a couple of years back in San Francisco with Garoppolo and Trey Lance. And I think it was important in the development of Trey Lance at the time as a rookie quarterback to, be in some of these packages. But immediately it was, how does he use his legs first? Now, Fields is very similar in that he can use his legs. There's question marks about some of the decisions and decision making and seeing the field that Fields has. That could be a tongue twister, depending on how I say it. Do you think that there's? I mean, because to me, the risk if you don't do that is that, and I know we can all say Fields is the ultimate professional and all these good things. Like I know that they both Russ and Fields took the O-line out for dinner this week and all that sort of stuff and all that. But when you're not, even Mason kind of ripped up the fourth wall on this last year and kind of said, when you're not in the game, there's a certain amount of focus that you don't have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do the Steelers risk by not doing anything, Fields getting a little bit bored, or maybe he's somewhat less sharp than what he would be if he was a starting quarterback, right? Which is fair enough. That's a human thing at that point. You're battling against that when you're not the starting quarterback. But do they also risk disrupting the flow, the chemistry, the consistency of the offense by almost forcing this every game as well? And I guess my build on that to you as a question is, if the Steelers are down by 8, let's say it's 8 points at the start of the fourth, does that shut this thing away, or do we see that as actually this is how they could flip the script? So I guess my 3 questions are: what's the risk, what's the reward, and how often do we need to do this, and do we do it no matter what the scoreboard shows?
Well, like everything else, if it works, it's not a problem. If the offense is working, nobody's complaining. When it doesn't work, that's when the problem comes in.
Yeah.
Fields is the type that I think he will flourish in this as a weapon. I don't see them using him a wide receiver like they did Cordell, but we knew that Cordell was that weapon. And when he was out there, he could do enough stuff besides just, catching the ball, that he was that all-around threat.
Yep.
The Steelers for a few years now have lacked weapons.
Yep.
And I think the guys they've got and they've drafted and they've brought in all fit as weapons in this system. If you have a creative offensive coordinator, which I think Arthur Smith is. So I think that the risk is minimal unless, let's say that you're going to do it late in the first quarter and, early in the third quarter and then maybe later in the fourth. If Russell Wilson is on a roll, you might not want to mess with that, his chemistry, the timing. You have to do everything by ear. Kind of play it by ear and see, how's this offense rolling today. But you mentioned the San Francisco when they did something similar. I think of the Baltimore Ravens with Joe Flacco, and they drafted Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
They had to get Jackson in there somehow, and they did that.
What's funny though?
It saved Harbaugh's job.
Well, but I was going to say though,
was sucking, and they made the switch to Lamar Jackson, and he really dominated the latter part of that year.
Well, that's what I feel like they were forced to do that. There was a game they played. Who was that bloke that was the coach of the Browns? He had 1 year. Was it Greg? Someone? It started with a G. It was a complete and utter disaster.
Well, the guy, the coach from Rutgers?
I think so.
It started with an S, didn't it?
I'd have to. It was that year, obviously, with Lamar as a rookie, and they were going nowhere in that game, Baltimore, and they had to play him, and Lamar, stole the game, and it helped them in the AFC North, and it helped them make the playoffs. But I think that year, the Steelers won the division, and the Browns, Baltimore was, they made it through the wild card, but I could be corrected and could be wrong there. But the different parallel that I see is that Flacco was under a huge amount of pressure and playing poorly, versus I feel like and a lot through that year, he was playing poorly as well. Whereas I feel like on the San Francisco line, the side of things, it was Trey Lance has to have this package, a certain number of snaps and package a game. Like it was kind of shoved down their throat a little bit. And I remember watching, I don't want to sit there and watch a lot of 49ers football, but I remember that year I watched almost a whole game that came after it, something else I was watching. It might have been NFL related. And I remember just sitting there going, yeah, exactly what I just said effectively. It feels very, I said, at times this makes sense and at times this feels forced because it usually happened when they were within 35 yards of the opposition's end zone because obviously they wanted to run that ball and do something, exotic with Trey Lance. So I guess that's kind of a little bit why I draw that parallel versus Lamar. Also, I think Justin Fields has a much better arm than Lamar did at that point in time too. So,
well, Trey Lance was overdrafted.
Oh, big time.
He was not NFL ready, and they felt like that they had to get him some reps. Yeah. Not throw him in there, not put his feet to the fire, but they had to get him some reps to help him develop. I think this situation is a little different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're both similar quarterbacks. Wilson is not a statue. Wilson can run the ball. He has mobility.
Yep.
You can use some of this package and you can keep him in there. And you could even, there's really no limit what you could do with your creativity. But this situation, both quarterbacks have been franchise guys. Now, Fields didn't have a lot of success as Chicago's franchise guy, but he was the face of the franchise for a while. So they both have that starting experience. But this is more of a rehabilitation, so to speak, for Fields as they're trying to rebuild his confidence and help him continue to grow as an NFL quarterback. Because as we've said, last year there was times he was caught in between because they're like, even if you see him running lane, don't take off, let the play develop and hold the ball. So a lot of times he was standing back there and he got sacked when he could run multiple times because they told him not to run. So he quit playing, Ben played backyard football. Patrick Mahomes plays backyard football. It's instinctive. Yeah. Fields lost his instinctive play last year. It wasn't fun anymore. He was thinking too much. And I think that's what they got to get him back to. And so I think this would be a really good situation, a really good package to use. And they're going to have to play it by ear, when and where to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I looked up the coach as well. It was Freddie Kitchens I was thinking about.
Oh, okay.
And look, it's way pre my time because I was literally a toddler. But I'm shocked that bloke played quarterback.
I don't remember him as a player. So.
Yeah, that's it. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this Steelers Global Perspective segment for the weekend. But let us know in the comments what you think about these exotic packages. Are the Steelers playing with fire by not just having one bloke do it all, occasionally work in Fields, or are they doing the right thing by having maybe a set package a game or a set formation that they're going to get Fields or Russ involved if Russ doesn't win the starting spot? You let us know in the comments. I'm Matty P with Shannon White. As always, go Steelers.